Your comfortable bed is a coffin for your dreams. Get up. Right now, somewhere in the world, a man is waking up at 4 a.m. in the freezing cold, joints aching, lungs burning, pushing himself into the darkness because he decided that greatness was worth more than comfort. And you hit snooze. Again. You pulled that warm blanket tighter and whispered to yourself, tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow. Let me tell you something brutal. Tomorrow is where dreams go to rot. You want the millionaire life? You want the warrior's body, the unshakable mindset, the respect of every person who walks into the room? Sure you do. Everyone wants it. But the second life asks you to work 12 hours straight, to skip the party, to sit in silence and grind when nobody is watching, you fold. You crumble like wet paper. You want the trophy, but you run screaming from the training. You want the crown, but you flinch at the weight of it. That is not ambition. That is fantasy. And fantasy is just weakness wearing a costume. Here is the truth that will either wake you up or break you. Comfort is a slow poison. It doesn't kill you fast. It doesn't come at you like a storm. It seeps in quietly through the soft mattress, through the endless scrolling, through the I deserve a rest that turns into weeks, then months, then years of nothing. The easy life doesn't build men. It dissolves them. It takes a warrior and turns him into a spectator. And here's the darkest part. If you are not choosing to suffer voluntarily, if you are not deliberately walking into the fire on your own terms, then life will eventually drag you into that fire anyway. Except you'll have no armor, no preparation, no strength. You'll burn. So the only real question is, do you walk in ready or do you get thrown in broken?
Listen to me. This is not motivation. This is law. The law of nature. Immovable. Undeniable. A muscle does not grow in rest. A muscle grows when you take it to the absolute edge of its capacity, when you tear the fibers under heavy iron, when you push past the point where your mind is screaming at you to stop, and you don't. The diamond sitting in a jewelry store worth $1,000, it is just coal. Just ordinary, ugly coal that was buried under unimaginable pressure for millions of years. The pressure didn't destroy it. The pressure made it the hardest, most brilliant thing on earth. You are that coal right now, and the only way you become the diamond is through the crushing weight of difficulty. There is no shortcut. There is no life hack. There is only the pressure and your choice of how to meet it. The ancient Stoics understood this at a level most modern men will never reach. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, commanding armies, ruling millions, wrote in his private journal about embracing everything fate threw at him, not tolerating it, not surviving it, loving it. They called it amor fati, love of fate. Every obstacle, every betrayal, every brutal season of life, not as punishment, not as bad luck, but as material, raw material for building an extraordinary human being. When fate hands you suffering, the weak man asks, why me? The Stoic asks, what is this making me? That single shift in perspective is the difference between a man who is destroyed by his life and a man who is defined by it. And when the storm hits, and it will hit, the weak man runs for shelter. He finds the softest corner he can, pulls his knees to his chest, and waits for it to pass. But the Stoic? The Stoic builds a windmill. He looks at that raging, howling storm and says, I am going to harness every ounce of that power. He turns the chaos into fuel. He turns the pain into purpose. That is not recklessness. That is mastery. That is what it looks like when a man stops being a victim of his circumstances and becomes the architect of them. Pain is not your enemy. Say that again until it lives in your bones. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the most honest personal trainer you will ever have. It never lies to you. It never coddles you. It shows you exactly where you are weak, exactly where you need to grow, exactly what you are made of when everything else is stripped away. The men you admire most, the ones who move through the world with that quiet, unshakable confidence, they did not get there by being comfortable. They got there by sitting in the fire long enough to stop fearing it. Stop praying for an easy life. Stop it.
That prayer is an insult to your own potential. Every time you beg the universe for fewer problems, you are asking to stay exactly as small as you are right now. Instead, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Pray for the resilience to face what would break lesser men. Pray for the discipline to show up when everything in you wants to quit. That is the prayer of a warrior. That is the prayer that actually gets answered, not by the sky opening up and making your life easier, but by you becoming someone who no longer needs it to be. So here is what you are going to do. Not next week, not when you feel ready, today. You are going to voluntarily seek discomfort. You are going to walk into something that makes you uncomfortable, and you are going to stay there. Take the freezing cold shower, all the way in, all the way cold, and you do not get out until you have chosen to stay longer than your weak mind demanded you leave. Lift the heavier weight, the one you've been staring at for 3 weeks, telling yourself maybe next month. Have the terrifyingly honest conversation, the one you've been rehearsing in the mirror and then swallowing every single morning because the fear of it is suffocating you. Have it today. These are not dramatic gestures. These are reps in the gym of your character. And just like the iron in the weight room, the discomfort only makes you stronger if you actually pick it up. Because here is the transformation that happens when you stop waiting for comfort and start choosing difficulty. The fire stops burning you. That is not poetry. That is physics of the human spirit. When you willingly, repeatedly, deliberately walk into the fire, your threshold rises, your capacity expands. What destroyed you at 20 becomes what defines you at 30. The pain that used to make you retreat becomes the signal that you are exactly where growth lives. You stop being a man who is afraid of hard things, and you become a man that hard things are afraid of. The world feels this, people feel this, and more importantly, you feel this, that deep, unshakable knowing that you have been tested and you did not break. Embrace the suffering or stay weak forever.